Good evening, scissor wielding friends and strangers. This is Sarah from Pegasus Paper Co. and I'm here with another little tutorial. This is all done for the challenge in our Facebook group, Junk Journaling for Everyone. Our group was started by Michelle. She is an amazing junk journaler, and I will post a link to her stuff and to our group so you can join us if you want to. This particular piece of the challenge is dealing with altered playing cards, and your assignment, if you're participating in the challenge, is to create 3 of them for this challenge. If you're just doing this project for fun, you obviously can follow whatever rules or numbers you like. There aren't really any rules in craft other than just get in there and make something beautiful happen. Okay, so I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I'm on the road, so I don't have all my supplies. So the only things I had at my disposal were a glue stick, an amazing pair of pruning shears, and the ability to print. So I created a little printable set, and first I'll introduce the challenge. I'm going to put a link so those of you who just want to get straight to the tutorial can skip ahead. For those of you who are doing the challenge, here's what your assignment is going to be. We are going to do 3 altered playing cards, which I'll teach you what that is in a moment, and I want you to make, obviously you'll do it in your own theme for the challenge. As long as it's vintage, it works, whatever theme you want. What we're going to do is we're going to do 1 card for a cause, 1 card for a memory, and 1 card for a wish or a hope. Now that can be taken any way you like. In this particular tutorial, I'm showing you the card for a cause. So you could interpret this any way you want. For example, if you're doing a vintage Christmas journal, which I know a lot of people love to do those every season, and that's coming up. If you're doing a vintage Christmas journal, your cause could be, let's say the elves are revolting for better work conditions, and you could do a whole altered playing card about their struggle supporting the elf's cause, something like that. You can really take this any way you want. If you're doing antique vintage fashion, I mean, there are so many causes in fashion. Everything has a cause. Okay. So what I've chosen for my cause is bullying. There's been a lot of stuff about bullying, especially with everything going online and people feeling more anonymous. So I wanted to create an altered playing card project that could be used to help educate kids, but also just for us adults to remember to always, whenever we can, protect those who need it. And if you're in a situation where you're being bullied, oh, my heart goes out to you, and just you can reach out to me, you can reach out to professional resources. There are lots of things that can be done. You are not alone. It happens to a lot of people. This project is to show, specifically to show kids that if you don't stand up for others, there may be no one left to stand up for you. So you should always protect those around you, not just out of self-interest, but also because it's our job as good people to care for those around us and make our communities beautiful and livable. Even if we don't see people in person, people are still out there. So, okay, let's get right into it. Now, as I said, I didn't have any supplies, so I'm hoping that with your altered playing cards, you're going to embellish a whole lot more than I can right now. I've chosen the story of Alice in Wonderland, and if you've read the story, you know that the King of Hearts is the Queen's husband, and she's the off with their heads character, and she pretty much crushes the king and is a fairly dominant figure, so and not in a fun way. She just crushes him, his will, and he's a little guy. And so what I thought we would do is to symbolize that. We're gonna start with the King of Hearts as the playing card, but we're gonna completely cover him up with the abusive queen, because that's what happens in the story. So what we're gonna do, an altered playing card, by the way, it's just doing pretty much anything with a playing card. You don't even need the playing card in there if you want to just use something that size. I think it still kind of counts as an ATC card, which is an artist trading card. And those are the same size, 2.5 by 3.5 inches, as altered playing cards. So let's get started. I'll push these things out of the way. Oh, yeah, I'll get to the explanation in a minute. Okay, so first, we know that our king's will was suppressed by the Queen of Hearts, and I've made the printables a little wider so I can trim them, because then I don't have to be precise when gluing. It's just easier. So first you're just going to cover your playing card with glue. Poor little king. It was nice knowing ya. Okay. And I've missed a corner. All right. I'll just glue the queen on top. Now you don't need a printable kit for this project. You can just use anything you have lying around or in magazines. Okay, so we've got our queen now, and for the back of this card, I'll give it a second to dry, and I'm going to cut it out. It's nice not having to be precise. I always give myself a little room for error whenever possible. I'm just going to trim the edges here. Okay, so we've got our queen on one side. She's a sturdy figure, isn't she? Now on the back, I've made this little poem. So there's this, you've probably read it. There's a famous poem by Martin Niemöller. I'm hoping one of my German friends can correct me on pronunciation. And I've just changed a couple of the words to make it relevant to Alice in Wonderland. This is a poem that was made famous after World War II. So we've adapted it for our Alice anti-bullying card. So now I'll just read it to you in case I'm not holding this still enough. The poem goes like this. It's called Alice Against Bullying, adapted from the poem by Martin Niemöller. It's, first they came for the Mad Hatters, and I did not speak out because I was not a Mad Hatter. Then they came for the gardeners, and I did not speak out because I was not a gardener. Then they came for the white rabbits, and I did not speak out because I was not a white rabbit. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. And we've got the little I'm late rabbit right here. Okay, so I'm going to glue this poem onto the back of this beautiful card. The great thing about having 52 cards is that if the backs of them are really gorgeous, you can do lots of altered playing cards where the card remains perfectly visible so it can be seen. But for this particular project, the card is just going to get hidden behind all of our stuff. Okay, so just put it on, try and center it as much as possible. Press, and then I'm going to trim it, and then we can start adding things on. So I'll just trim this. Now, of course, if you're in your craft room or craft area and you have clips, it's always nice to clip things after you glue them so that they take hold well. I'm not doing that for the purpose of demonstration, but you can use paper clips, craft clips, anything you have lying around with a bit of pressure or spring to it. Okay. I'll probably need to reglue that later once I'm around clips, but for now it's doing the job. Okay. So now what we're going to do to illustrate what happens when you don't speak up against bullies is we're going to just imagine what happened when the queen was allowed to have her way. She said, off with their heads, and every time, off went the heads. So we're going to glue all of the heads in a big pile, adding up around her feet to demonstrate how quickly the scene can change. So we'll add our Mad Hatter here. This was the king. Glue him down. Now if you have ink with you, you can ink the edges first. Put him, let's say over here. Our sweet little Alice. Of course, she kept her head. This is not the most accurate interpretation of the story, but it's all symbolic anyway. Lewis Carroll actually wrote a really amazing mathematical book called Symbol Logic, Game of Logic. was it System Logic, Game of Logic? One or the other. I'll check it out and put a link. It is just phenomenal. It uses nonsense and logic to explain clever ways to solve problems. What an amazing historical figure he was. Alright, we'll put him there. He sort of looks like an executioner, doesn't he? Even though I believe it was the White Rabbit in this story who did the head chopping. But of course no one spoke up, and eventually there was no one left but him, and naturally bullies don't stop unless something changes. So here at the very end, our executioner, the White Rabbit, also became a victim. And there you have it. This is what happens when no one speaks up against bullies. Now, you can trim the edges at the end. I'll do that off screen. And when I get home, I'm going to put a little bit of gold around the corners, maybe add some other embellishments, but you'll do yours however you like. Now, in this kit is actually on my site. I'll put a link if you want it, but for the challenge, I hope you'll do your own card, your own design, because I want you to be creative. So this kit also comes with another thing that can be glued together in a card. It's just a little Allies in Wonderland back, and on the front we have the March Hare, and he's an ally in Wonderland, which is why it says, there's a heart and it says for, as in he's in support of. I'll just glue those together to have them, so you don't really need the card in the middle. Works either way. And I kind of like that this one will be bigger because maybe I can use it as a pocket. We'll just, everything's sticky. I'm such a mess when I craft. Okay, there we go. Just gonna smooth that down a little bit. And that can be embellished any old way you like. Let's see, should we put the flags? I'm actually going to leave it without the flags. All right, so there you have it. Altered playing cards for a cause. So I hope that those of you doing the junk journaling challenge, the Big Bite challenge, in our Facebook group will make one card for a cause. The next two cards will be a card for a memory and a card for a hope or a wish. And I will put links to the other tutorials in the description below. Have a lovely evening.